Okay, we're all in Little Nishmas Yisrael Moshe ben Tzvi Yehuda for the second day in a row. The Shema should have an aliyah in the schus of Rabbi's Torah and the Torah of the Daf, Baruch Hashem. So we started a new parak yesterday, this parak of Kohen Gadol and the king, and it mentioned that you can't do chalitza. The Kohen Gadol, we said that the Kohen Gadol said chalitz v'choltzin leishtoi. You could do chalitza to him, right? And you could be he could do chalitza. Right, but Yibum miyab his wife, but he can't be miyab somebody else. That's what he said. He can't be miyab somebody else. So kapasik v'tani, on that thing that he can't be miyab, he can't before Yibum. Kapasik v'tani, loishna min erisin, v'loishna min asuin. Now the Kohen Gadol's brother's married. He could be married one of two ways. He could be married to a consummated marriage. That's after Nisuin, or it can be a marriage where he's married, but the marriage was never consummated. My nafkamina, whether she's a basula or not. Now, there's two things. A Kohen Gadol is not allowed to marry an almana. That's a loy saseh. Cannot marry an almana. Conversely, the Kohen Gadol has to marry a basula. So the Gemara goes ahead and says the following: Kapasik v'tani. You made a carte blanche statement that the Kohen Gadol is not able to do yibum. Loishna min erisin. It didn't make a difference if his sister-in-law fell to him from a relationship of erisin where she's still a basula. Where she's no longer a basula. Very good from Nisuin. I can understand why the Kohen Gadol cannot marry her. Why? Because havi asay v'lo sasay. It's a the ein essay docha lo sasay v'asay. In the sugya that we saw in Masech Yevamis many moons ago, we had the sugya of asay docha lo sasay. The mitzvah of yibum. We know that a mitzvah sasay can be docha lo sasay. Where do you see that from? Primarily, the mitzvah of tzitzis, that a tzitzis could be made what from shatnez. The mitzvah of say of what of gedilin taslacha is juxtaposed to the mitzvah of silver shatnez. So, what do we see? Then asay is dochalos asay. So here you have an asay, the mitzvah of yibum, and here you have a los asay. You can't marry what an almana. Now I understand. So why don't we say asay dochalos asay? And the answer is because in addition to the los asay, there's a mitzvah asay to marry a basula. And since it's been an asum and the marriage was consummated, the ain't asay the yibum doicha the lois asay ve'asay of what of basula tichat. So Ella mina erisin, if the brother never consummated the marriage, she's an eshes ish. He dies during this engagement period of 12 months, and now she falls to the Kohen Gadol. Amai, why can't the Kohen Gadol marry her? Yave asay, let the mitzvah asay of yibum come along. The yidcha say and bidachad losa say of marrying an almana, and she is a basula. That's the Gemara's kasha. Yet the Mishnah did make a chilik. The Mishnah said kapasik v'tani, a carte statement, and they could no case could you possibly have what yibum performed. And for Gemara, I'll tell you why. The MS guys, you could do it. The MS you could do it. However, gezerah bir rishayna to be a shniya. The mitzvah would be only the first bia. My memory from the Marshal from Shavuos night, right? They only go ahead one, and the first bia would be mutter. The second bia would be not. So enachinami. The reason why it says in our Mishnah that she can't do yibum to an arusa is the rabbanon in nature. Also the raisa asay dochalos asay. The mitzvah if they have yibum, it's going to be dochalos asay of marrying an almana. Right? So why not? And the answer is because that's only the first bia. What goes to the first bia that you can't do the first bia to the second bia. Okay. Tanya nami hachi, right? Im kadmu abalu. If Itaka was boiled, the Kohen Gadol was boiled. Huh? Bia rishayna kanu. Bia asal lekaimu would be a shniya. So you see what a brisa, it would work. I say dochalos I say, but it wouldn't be a bia asal lekaimu the bia asal lekaimu because the bia shniya, which is no mitzvah. So guys, let me ask you a question. Why don't we say this by? I asked this in Yevamis. We learned in Yevamis. I'm not expecting. Maybe we won't remember it. So why does regular yibum work? You miyabim your sister-in-law. You have an issue of eshes ach, your brother's wife. The first bia you get a mitzvah. What about the second bia? Why don't we say the same thing? Right? Just like a Kohen Gadol can't marry an almana, you're not allowed to marry your sister-in-law. Adrabah, your sister-in-law is in this chorus. It's worse. And the answer is because the Torah says, "V'lach halal isha," guys. The Torah tells you after you miyabim her, you know what? V'lach halal isha. If not for that, you would not be able to go ahead and do a bia shniya, right? Why could you remain with the sister-in-law after yibum? It's because it's v'lach halal isha. It's a beautiful, beautiful teretz. But again, it puts together the whole thing. Very geschmack. Okay. Mace lay mace. Okay, we said that. Why did the Mishnah say, fellas? Let's go back. Mace lay mace. The Mishnah said if one of the kohen gadol, one of the kroivim that is mechuyev to be misabel over dies, any yotza achar mita. He doesn't walk after. He doesn't leave the Beis Hamikdash to walk after the mace, but he actually does. He's never in the same place with them. When they're in one street, he's in another street, and vice versa. But what are you worried about? You're worried about in his grieving, he may come to go ahead and touch the mace, and it's also for a kohen to gadol come tamei. But according to Reb Meir, he does leave the Beis Hamikdash proper. He does leave the Beis Hamikdash proper, and to walk after the mace, but in a way that in a way to avoid tuma by not being in the same street with the mace at the same time. Rabbi Yehuda me'eni yotzim in Hamikdash. He does not leave the Mikdash. Shnemar when Hamikdash le'yetze. You should not leave the Beis Hamikdash. Comes out. Like Reb Meir, you do leave the Beis Hamikdash, and he's going to dash min Hamikdash le'yetze. You don't leave your state of kedusha. Mikdash does not mean a physical; it means your halachic state of purity. That's the way Reb Meir learns. Like Reb Yehuda, you don't leave the Beis Hamikdash at all. Let's see the Gemara. Meis le meis, Tan Rabbanan. Umin Hamikdash le'yetze. You shouldn't leave the Beis Hamikdash. Le'yetze imahem. You can't leave with them. Aval yotze hu achareim. But you could go after them. This is Reb Meir. Ketzad, hey nichdish and v'hu niglo, hey niglo hu nichsa. So the Raisa elaborates a little more. Our Mishnah just says he goes one place, they go the other place. That he's dashing from the Mikdash L'Yetze means L'Yetze with them you can't go, but after them you could go in a way that as long as you're not in the same street at the same time. It says V'Yotze at Pesach HaShar. Once it gets to the city, that's it. Fred Gemara Shapa come Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda L'Chayr is telling Rabbi Meir very good. It says Uva Migdash L'Yetze. How you Rabbi Meir get him out of the Beis Hamikdash? It seems to be mefurish. You can't leave the Beis Hamikdash. It says Uva Migdash L'Yetze. So how do you do that? So Rabbi Meir says if you're going to take that literally, that he never leaves the Beis Hamikdash, Yihachi leBeis Nami, he should never be able to go home. In other words, if you're going to take it literally, it means the kohen gadol should have to reside in the Beis Hamikdash for his whole career. He should never be able to leave. And we know that's not true. We know Masechta Yuma, right? He gets dressed, he puts in the big day chol and goes home, makes a kiddush. We know that the kohen gadol doesn't leave Beis Hamikdash. So says Reb Meir to Reb Yehuda, you see that it's not literally, because if it's literally, he'd never be able to go home. So what does it mean? He shouldn't leave his act of kedusha, his act of purity, physical purity, to be tamei. The kimin liste akera, since he has a hecker, why? Because he's never going to be in the same street at the same time. Then therefore what? He won't come to touch the mace. Rabbi Yehuda agav marira dilma mikra of Yosef ben Naga. So why does Rabbi Yehuda allow this? Because maybe in his state of grieving and bitterness and grief, he may go ahead and not touch the mace, and therefore we don't let him go out at all. That's the machlokes between the two. Okay, what did the Mishnah say? When he's menachem, how is he menachem? Says the Mishnah, ukashum menachem acherim. When he's menachem other people, derech kol am oivrim b'zeh achazeh. The people would move. Notice the Avelim are saying straight. The people would move. And the Mamuna would go ahead and make him in the middle between him and the So he would be on one side and the would be on the other side. So in other words, the and them are moving, and the Mamuna is on one side, the is on the other side, he's in the middle, and they're walking past the Avelim who are stationary. And when he accepts some others, everyone would say to him, Anu kaparascha, okay, let's see what the Gemara says. So it's mashma that what? He's walking in the middle between the and the Mamuna. The one we'll see who it is in the second, and the Avelim are stationary. Tarabanan. Kusho Oiver Bishura, when the Kohen Gadol walks in the row, Lenachim Esacherim, to go ahead and comfort others, Sagan u'Meshuach Sha'avar, Sagan and the Meshuach who had served already and gone down, and he had served, he was a Meshuach to do the Avodah. Let's say what happened, a Psul happened to the Kohen Gadol. This guy was chosen in his place, and now he goes down. Look at Rashi, guys. Meshuach Sha'avar, when it gets small, about 2-3 lines down. Ganshir by Psul b'Kohen Gadol. Psul happened to Kohen Gadol. Uminu achat tachtav, they appointed him one in his stead. Ukasha'avar Psulay, and when the Psul went away from the salvation of the first Kohen Gadol, Chaysel Avodah, so he got back his job. B'Sheni Karila Meshuach Sha'avar. The second one is called the anointed that one is no longer there. Now this guy had reached the mountaintop, and then they took him down. The Meshuach Sha'avar, right? You know what it's like? You're president for a day or two, and then you go back to your place. So not Goshmak. So when he goes ahead, and he's been Menachem others, this Meshuach is not mentioned in the Mishnah, by the way. Sagan, and in Mishnah we called him a Mamuna. Here we're calling him a Sagan. B'yamino on his right, Rosh Beisav Avelim, and the head of that particular Beisav that's working that week, and Avelim b'Chala Mismailai Ukasha Oimed B'Shura, and when he's standing there, Misnachim Acherim, getting nichem from other people, Skan Miyamino of Rosh Beisav b'Chala Mismailai. No, the Meshuach's not there anymore. Meshuach Sha'avar Lo Yosi Gabei. When he is in mourning, he's comforting others, the Meshuach Sha'avar is with him. When he is being comforted by others, because he's an aval, then the Meshuach does not come there. My timer, Chol Shadaite, the Meshuach has Chalisha Zadas, Sava Kachadibi, right? It's Chalisha Zadas because he thinks that this Meshuach is happy that he's an aval. Again, the feeling of Meshuach Sha'avar to a Kohen Gadol might not be so good because he took his position, then he got back his position, and this guy went down. So in his time of Tsar, we don't want the other guy there. Amra Papa Shmamina from this whole Masti's son. Tlas Shmamina Hainu Sagan Hainu Mamuna. It's the same person. Our Mishnah called him Mamuna. Here in the Brisa it's called Sagan. Ushmamina Avelim Oimdim V'Cholam Oivrim. The Avelim would be stationary and the other people would walk. That's not what we do. Ushmamina Avelim the small Manichim Ein Oimdim. The Avelim stay on the left of the ones who come to Menachem. Tarabanan. Barishayna Haya Avelim Oimdim V'Cholam Oivrim. Initially, the Avelim stood, and all the nations, all the rest of the people would walk by and be menachem. V'hoyu beis mishpachos v'Yerushalayim misagros u'bezu. You had the Hatfields and the McCoys. These people, what? They're fighting a lot. They're fighting a lot. Am I dating myself with the Hatfield and the McCoys? Yeah. I think everyone on here, maybe Yehuda Kerp is the only one who doesn't know, maybe. Okay, anyway, they were hillbillies. Anyway, so they were fighting with each other. So I say, Meres, I want to go first. I want to go first. So what do? Guess what? None of you can go first, right? You're going to stay stationary in the Avelim. That's what we do. And the Avelim are going to walk through you. Initially, so because of this fighting, things changed. Anyway, it says, so a little more about the subject. Rami bar Abba. He put it back. B'tzipuri, that what? In Sipuri, Rabbi Yossi was he put it back to the old ways, that it was the Avelim that would stand and the people would walk through. A woman should not walk in the street with her son behind her. Rashi brings a terrible maisa where a child was walking by the mother, the child was kidnapped, and they came along, she got home, realized what happened. Someone said, I know where he is. They came in and they took her to a place and they physically abused her. So of course this terrible maisa, they said that the child should go first. Now the basic kisa used to be in the field, fellas. So you're always worried about who's in there. So they said that women go to the bathroom, they should go ahead and talk to each other. So a man would know there are two women there and they would not come in. Amar Menashe bar Us. Sheila says Rabbi Yoshia, Rabbi, the base Alma Lehutzel. Ayes Rabbi Yoshia the Great in the base Alma of Hutzel. V'imri lo ain't sure b'chusam yasara ben Adam. There's no row of mourners less than 10. Vein avelim and a minion, and those 10, the Velim can't be counted towards the minion. And that doesn't, there's no difference whether they stand still and the Avelim walk through or vice versa. So again, our minig usually is that, not usually, it is our minig that we stand still and the Avelim walk through the Shura from the cemetery. Now it said in the Mishnah, what exactly did you tell the Kohen Gadol? What exactly tell the Kohen Gadol? So when when people would be misnachim him, they would say to the Kohen Gadol, "You are a kapara." After all, the Kohen Gadol's guys on Yom Kippur, that was his main job to get kapara for the people. He taka literally was the kapara. Taka literally was the kapara. Anu kaparascha. And he would tell them, "Tisbarchu min hashemayim." You should be blessed from shemayim. And when they would give the Sudas Havra, everyone would sit on chairs, and he would sit on the chair, and they would sit on the ground. Okay, now, when he would be menachem other people, why would he say to them? He would say, Tisnachamu. You should be confident. Not Hechidami. If it's speaking where other people are being menachem him, lididei amalahu iu tisnachamu nachsha karami lahu. He's sitting shiva. People come along and they say something to him. He goes, "You should be confident." Basically, he's cursing them, saying you should be in the same matzav as me. Right? Makes no sense. Elakim menachem lachrina. When he would be menachem others, amalahu, they would say to him, "Tisnachamu." Right? He would say to them, "Tisnachamu." The Yad Ramah says, "Tisnachamu min hashemayim." Right. So he would say what? He would say to, when he's menachem others, he would say that. So when they menachem him, they would say, "You're a kapara," and he would say in the Mishnah said what? You should bench from shemayim. It says what? Agamar is mashma that what? He said tisnachamu. This is when he. That is when that's when he's being. Excuse me. This is when he's being menachem others, right? That mission is when they're menachem him. When they're menachem him. Yeah. Okay. When they, just to reiterate, when they are menachem him, they would tell him, "You're a kapara," and he would say to them, "You should be blessed from shemayim." When he will be menachem other people, right, he would tell them, "You should be menachem min shemayim." That's what he would tell them. Which brings us to the king. We said a king does not judge, and it's not judged. Rabbi Yosef, lo shanu el malchei Yisrael. Now we know that the Malchus was divided, fellas. A little historical perspective here. The first Melech of Kal Yisrael, of course, was David. I mean, not counting Shaul. First Melech Yehuda was David, followed by his son Shlomo, followed by his son Rechavam. Right. Rechavam. And during Rechavam's life, the Malchus split. Rechavam was the Melech of Yehuda and Binyamin, and Yeravam ben Nevat, he took the 10 Shvatim to the north. Those are what we call the Asar Shvatim. Those are Asar Shvatim. They were there. Okay. So the Malchei Yisrael is the Melech of those 10 Shvatim. Melech Yehuda is the Melech that is the real king, and he's the king over Yehuda and Binyamin. So our Mishnah said that what? That king can't judge or be judged. Says the Gemara, that's Dafka Malchei Yisrael. It's not Malchei Yehuda. Dafka Malchei, my timer, Lamishim, what's the I'm Rabbi Yosef Leishan al Malchei Beis David done v'dan Noisai. Dichsiv Beis David Koyamar Hashem Dinoi Leboike Mishpat. Right, you'll judge in the morning. So we see they could judge. V'loy denainolei inu hechi daini. If not the fact that what they're judged by others, how could they judge others? In other words, if they're judging, it must be they themselves could be judged. As we saw yesterday, his kaisashu search for kaishu, but meishlakish kshadatz mucha v'akash kshat v'acheirim. You know, you are you first go ahead and judge yourself and then judge others. So yeah, obviously, if he's judging others, he must be judged himself. Okay, let's see Taisus, the third Taisus down here. We asked yesterday. You can't lisana al Rav. You can't go ahead and go say anything against the Rav. So how could you tell me that Malchus based David could go ahead and be judge or judged? You're not allowed to go ahead. The Sanhedrin wouldn't be able to open their mouths up, right? So how in the world could you tell me that what Malchus based David could be judged? Here we're speaking that they could judge Dini Mamonis. We don't care if they can answer. Okay, so this that they could be judges, speaking about Dini Mamonis, is Machadish, guys. Umiyu Kasha, that field Dini Nefashas, Nami Ashkin, we find they also that judge Dini Nefashas. Yachka Gam David Eschargoy, Dala Kamon Yalfina Minei, the Dini Nefashas Maschilim in Atzad, the Kimmich Hayachoshiv David Atzmei Lamelech. How could David judge Dini Nefashos? Okay, we'll see that the Maisa happened over there. David is judging Novel. Novel was a person that owed David money to. David goes ahead. He's going to kill him. He's the king, but he's not the king. Shaul's still alive. Abigail comes out and stops him. So therefore, that case over there, he's mamish not the king literally. But the king literally, even Malchus based David cannot judge Dini Nefashos. So when this Gemara over here says that the Loishanu Ela Malchei Beis Yisrael, you can't judge or be judged, but Beis David you could be. We're speaking about Dinei Mamonis, guys. Very important. We're speaking about Dinei Mamonis according to Tosfos. So now, why can't you even judge Dinei Mamonis? Why can't by Malchei Beis Yisrael? So here's a Maisa. My time Shemaisa Shahaya. The Avdei Diyanai Malka. The Eved of Yanai the Melech, Katal Nafshay, killed someone. Now the Marsha brings down from Yosifon, you know this Eved was Hordis. Erod the Great. This Eved, you remember the Gemara in the beginning of Baba Basra? He killed everybody. He had his eyes on this Chashmonai girls. She dumped off a roof, said anyone who says it comes from Shmoim, it comes from Avodim, put her in honey to go ahead and protect her. We had this whole thing. He killed all the Chachamim, Baba Ben Puta, and then he said, "What can I do for Kapara?" And he built the base on Mikdash. So, according to Marsha, according to Yosef, when this Maisa, this Eved who killed, was Hordis. So it wasn't Stam and Eved, one of the more famous people at the time. Yanai, we saw Gemara in Brachas, fellas. Rabbi Yochanan Kohen Gadol, who Yanai. Rabbi Yochanan Kohen Gadol, who became a tzedaki many years later. A person should never believe in himself. So look what happened to Rabbi Yochanan. He said Rabbi Yochanan and Yanai were the same person. So this Ma'aser with Yanai and the Eved is Hordis and Rabbi Yochanan Kohen Gadol gives it a different perspective. Anyway, Amalei Shimon ben Shua was his brother-in-law. The Chachamim Tanu Einechem Boy, right? Tanu Einechem Boy. I mean, he was Hordis's wife. I think was his Mashim ben Shetach's sister. Tanu Einechem Boy Unidoinoi. Go ahead, let's judge this Eved. Shalchalei Abdcha Katal Nafsha. They sent to Yana, your Eved killed. Shadri Lahu, send him to us. So Shalchalei, right? They sent to him, Te Ananami, you should also come, Lahacha. It says, who had been Balav. It says by a shar, who had been Balav, and the masters are warmed. Amitari Yavi Balashar, V'yamin al Sharai. So in other words, you should come. And also, since we're judging your shar, in this case, your Eved, you should also come. So Asav Yosef, he came and he sat down. Amalei Shimon ben Shetach, Yarei Melech, Amir al Raglecha, stand up. Don't sit down, stand up. And they'll testify against you. But realize you're not standing up for us. You're standing up in front of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. So Le'elahim is the dayan, but it's a play on words. Amrulai. So Yanai was not happy about standing up. He felt he's the king, and he doesn't stand to anybody. So, by the way, just derech agav. This sitting really stared Yeravam. The only one who's able to sit in the base of Mikdash is Malchus base David. Only one who could sit is Malchus base David. So, and this really stared Yeravam. So you see Yanai, who who is a Chashmonai king, also the fact that he has to stand, also staring him. You see, they fed him with a Pegiyas HaKavod, they have to stand. In other words, if I have to stand for somebody, someone greater than me, if there's no one greater than them. So I find it ironic that this Maisa also came about the same Yeravam, the fact that Yeravam rebelled because he couldn't sit, he'd have to stand, is also with the Nakuda behind this Maisa, that Yanai is upset that he has to go ahead and stand. Amruloi, loy kishetayma ata, el kamash yomer chavercha. He's saying to Shimon ben Shetach, not like you say that I have to stand, but like your friends, the other people, meaning the other Dayanim, Amid Beis. Niftali Aminai, Shimon turned to the right. He wanted to see if what these people, the other Dayanim, and Kavshu Paneim Bekarka. You know when your Rebbe calls in your name to read a Tosfos? That's the first thing you do. No eye contact, right? First thing you do is get those eyes down. So Shimon ben Shetach turns to the Sanhedrin and says, okay. All of a sudden, they're thinking about something else. All of a sudden, there's no eye contact. Nifl is Smailoi, he turns to the left. The Kamshu Panei Mekarka, the same reaction. Meaning, they were too scared to go ahead and say Yanai should stand. And they may believe that they're thinking about something else. So Amalahem Shimon ben Shetach, Bali Machshavas Atem. The Maharsha says, you're making yourself like you've been Maharer and other things that you don't know what's going on. You're Bali Machshavas, right? So therefore, Yavai Bal Machshavas, let HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Bal Machshavas for you from Yikem, and take retribution from you. Miyad, Bo Gavriel, V'choftem, B'karku, U'mesu. They all died. Gavriel came and all the judges died. Melech shouldn't be judged. Look what happened as a result of him. He shouldn't judge or be judged. He can't testify. And that was the Maisa. And therefore, they assaulted this Maisa, Malchei Yisrael, because Yanai was again a Chashmonaim king, could not go ahead and be judged.
But Yanai wasn't being judged. He wasn't the judge, nor was he being judged.
He was in court. Look what happened as a result of being in court. Kal v'chaymer. Madach, he was just coming along. He was being judged for not watching his Eved. Like he has din of a shah, right? You're responsible. Why'd they bring him there in the first place? And according to your reasoning, it's a kal v'chaymer. Madach, this happened as a result of not being directly judged, just being responsible for somebody else, Kolchkin himself. Now we said the king. Now let's see what it said about the king, guys. Okay. The king does not have a halacha per se of a yavama, of a basula, or of a almana. So therefore, you would think that he could do chalitza. Loy chalitz v'loy chalitzim leishtoi, loy miyabim v'loy miyabim leishtoi. Okay, says he can't do chalitza. How is it to spit in front of the king? Nor can he be chalitz somebody else, another man's wife. Loy miyabim, he doesn't perform yibum to his brother. But loy miyabim leishtoi, nor can you be miyabim his wife. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, and what's a lachloitz? If he wants to do it, no problem. There's no issa whatsoever. He's not a kohen gadol. So Amrullah ain't shaman, right? You don't go ahead. What? Don't listen to him. Very nice and almanusa, and you can't marry him. Rabbi Yehuda says a king can marry the king. Okay, so we have Rabbi Yehuda Shita over here that he held that a king could do chalitza and could do yibum. Back in the Gemara. Sin. And guys, the Bechulu here is going on Rabbi Yehuda's Shita. The Bechulu here is going on the Shita Rabbi Yehuda, that Rabbi Yehuda said he could do chalitza, he could do yibum. Is it really so that you could? A king that could be mochel on his kvoidai, mochel, melech shemochel al kvoidai. A nasi is one thing, but a melech ain't kvoidai mochel, so it's not the covet of the king to go ahead and do yibum and do chalitza. Shneimar soim tasam alecha melech shetei masa alecha, that his amos should be upon you. Therefore, it's not right for a king because to go again for him to do chalitza and be spat at. For him to do yibum is not called after his brother's name, not after his own name, I guess. Chalitza, it's asa to marry his wife. So no one could go ahead. And if he dies, the king dies, his wife cannot marry. No one can marry the king's wife. The Meister guys in the beginning of Malachim, where David is called, and they bring Avishag, Ashunamis, to warm him up. The Gemara says the Navi tells you that they never had relations, they never lived together. She wanted to marry him, and he said no, because he knew that she won't be able to marry somebody else. He won't be able to marry somebody else. So David had Rachmanis, and therefore he never married her. So, and for the Gemara, so according to Rabbi Yehuda, how in the world you could do chalitza, yibam, what about soim tasim alecha, the aim of the melech, the covenant of the melech, which he can't be meichel on? It says go to mitzvah shiny. When it comes to mitzvahs, it's different. When it comes to mitzvahs, it's different. I mean, a mitzvah would go ahead and and oversee the covenant of the king. They noisen es ishtoi. You can't marry what? His wife. You can't go ahead what and marry his wife. Rabbi Yehuda said what? Rabbi Yehuda said another king could marry the wife. Let's see the lashon of the Mishnah, guys. Again, this Gemara is predicated on the things that you don't see, on the things that the Gemara does not go ahead and comment on. Rabbi Yehuda, they ain't nice in almana, so you can't marry the kohen's almana. Rabbi Yehuda says, Hamelach, Rabbi Yehuda nice say Hamelach almunoisa shel melech. Shekei matzina b'David. You find by David, they're not. We find by David. Why do we find by David? Shekei matzina b'David. Shenasu almanusa shel Shaul. That David married Shaul's almana. Shenemar ve'en lecha es beis adeinecha, and I gave to you the house of your adain v'esnashei adeinecha b'cheikecha. So this is the musar that Nasan Hanavi is giving to David after he took Bathsheba, and he said, "I gave you the house of your adain and the wives of your adain." Who were the wives of the adain? Pashtus, it was the almana of Shaul. David was the second king. So Rabbi Yehuda wants to say, you see over here that David married the almana of Shaul, that you would be marry the king, can marry the king's almana. That's Rabbi Yehuda's diak from this pasuk. Now, we're going to see that this pasuk is not like that at all. This pasuk is not like that at all. I thought it appropriate to go through the parsha a little bit today between David and Shaul. I personally hold the most misunderstood person in all of Tanakh is Shaul HaMelech. If you just go through the parsha, it seems that Shaul is a real bad guy and David's a real good guy, and Shaul just wanted to make David's life miserable, and we're going to go through that parsha in a second, but I want to go through the end of the parsha. At the end of Shaul's life, the Pelishtim are about to go to war, and he doesn't know what to do. And he calls up Shmuel from the dead. The Maisa of the Balus Ov of the Eindar. There's a Balus Ov, and Shmuel Aleph, Perich of Ches. Shaul wanting to know what to do about the battle, calls up Shmuel. Shmuel comes up from the dead, and the conversation is scary. And he says to him, that you're going to lose the battle. And tomorrow you and your sons are going to be with me. Meaning you're going to die in battle. That's what he says, you're going to die in battle. Listen to this Yalkut Shmona, guys. Okay? The exact Yalkut, if you want to know, is Chelik Beis Remes Kuf Mem. Talmidei Ravami bar Abba b'shem Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Chaviv v'hi misasa shel Shaul Yosem Michayav. Greater was his death than his life. Shebechayav le'nemar atu v'necha imi, uv'misasi nemar atu v'necha imi mitoich mechitzasi. You're going to be in my mechitza. Who's talking? Shmuel Hanavi. And what does Shmuel tell Shaul? Tomorrow you're going to be dead, and you know where you're going to be? You're going to be in the same chelik of olam haba as me, as Shmuel. On Shmuel it says, Moshe v'Aaron b'chayhanov Ushmuel b'kari Shmoi. Shmuel was equal to Moshe Aaron. And Shaul is in the same chelik of Olam Haba, the same mechitza as Shmuel. So before you, I'm giving you the last page of the book. I'm giving you the last page of the book. The last page of the book, you read the book and you're going to say, oh my, here's, guys, Shaul is in the same chelik of Olam Haba as Shmuel. That's it. That's all you have to know. So when you hear what I'm about to do, and you're going to go ahead and think about Shaul in one way, I'm giving you a little heads up. Be careful. Look, he is in the same chelik of Olam Haba as what? As Shmuel. Okay. David does one of the most famous things in history, right? He kills Goliath. Was, as we say, David slew Goliath, right? He kills him. He kills Goliath. He comes back from the battle, and the girls are singing. Shaul killed 1,000, David killed 10,000. Shaul hears this, Shaul gets angry. Shaul is literally jealous. Now, the Navi tells us when Shaul did the Averis, the Ruach Gevura Lamalchus left Shaul and it went to David. So this is my own pshat. There's a special Ruach Gevura Lamalchus that Shaul had. It went to David. So Shaul's jealousy to David was unnatural. Because what? It was the spirit, the special spirit he had of a king, a supernatural feeling that went from him to David. So naturally, he was inclined to be jealous of the person who had that. So therefore, it explains some of his actions. So it says that he tried to kill David. He threw a spear at him. David avoided the spear, and David didn't even know. And so David, he comes up with a plan. And what's his plan? Vayom Shalom David, Hine Bite Hagdoila Meirav, my oldest daughter Meirav, Oisa Aten L'chal Isha, her I gave to you as a wife. Ach Hayali Leben Chayil V'Ilachem L'Chames, but of course you're going to fight wars. V'Shalom Al Tiyadai Boy, I won't kill him. Let him go to war and get killed. Now he said whoever kills Goliath is going to get my daughter. So legally he should have given Meirav to David, and it's mashma over here that Meirav was given to David. We'll see what happens in a second. She's not given to David, she's given to a person named Adriel. Michal Bashal as David, and Michal, the other daughter of Shaul, loves David. By Yagidul Shaul that she loves David. By Isha Daveinu, it's very, very good. Says Shaul, you know what? I'll give you my daughter Michal in marriage. And you're going to bring to me what? 100 orlois of the Pelishtim. David's Meisav on the Ksuba, he brings 200. Okay? He brings 200. And so now he's married to Meirav. Meirav was given to Adriel. And later on, he's Michal, who's married to David. David is a fugitive. And Shaul takes Michal and gives it to a person, Palti ben Layash. So the question is, was he married to two sisters? Was he married to Meirav and Michal? Was he married to one? What exactly is going on over here? So that's the sugya we're going to have today. That's the sugya we're going to have today. Okay. Now, Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, you're bringing this pasuk that what? You said that he was married to Shaul's wife. It did not mean he was married to the king's wives. He means married to women who were roy to come from the king's palace. Umayninu, that's Meirav Umichal. So the pasuk that Rabbi Yehuda wanted to use to say that Shaul, a king can marry the almanon of a king, and the raya was it doesn't mean the king's wives, but it means the ones that are roy, they came from the house of the king. That's the way you dash in the pasuk. That's what they answered Rabbi Yehuda. But Einachinami, you can't marry a king's wife. Shaul Tamida Bes Rabbi Yossi. Heich Nasa David Shtei Achayos B'Chayeihen. How could David possibly have married two women, Meirav and Michal, two sisters, in his lifetime? You know, you can marry to two sisters only when one dies, then you can marry the other one. Amalem Michal. Achamisas Meirav Nasa. Amalehem, so Rabbi Yossi said, Michal, after the death of Meirav, he married. So first he married Meirav, and then he married Michal, but they were never married at the same time. He's never married to Meirav. He was never married to her. So two pshatim. Either one, he was married to Meirav, but is married to Michal after the death of Meirav, or two, he never was married to Meirav, and therefore was only married to Michal. Shenemar, Tenoes Ishti, Es Michal Asher Arsasti Li, B'mea Arlis Pelishtim. Give me my wife, Michal, that I betrothed with 100 Arlis Pelishtim. My Talmuda, Papa, where do you see that from there, that he was only married to Michal? He said, give me Michal Ishti. Michal Ishti, V'loi Meirav Ishti. Michal was my wife, and Meirav wasn't. Michal Ishti, V'loi Meirav Ishti. My Kedushay Tois, what do you mean? What was the Kedushay Tois of what? Of Meirav? The Chsiv. V'hoya ish asher yakenu, the one who kills Goliath, Yashrenu HaMelech Ha'isha Gadol. And not only that, he's going to give what? His daughter in marriage. Azal went David and Katlei and killed him. Amaloi, Milva Islicha Gaboy, right? There's a Milva, the Shaul says, Milva Islicha Gaboy. There's a halva to you by me. From Mekadesh Milva and Mukudeshes. One of the more famous sugis in Shas is Mekadesh B'milva. So if your person is Mekadesh B'milva, it's Ein Mukudeshes, right? You didn't give him anything. So Shaul owes David, right? Shaul owes David for killing Goliath, and that so he owes him something, and the Kedushim is what he owes. So there's Kedushay Tois. The Kedushin wasn't a Kedushin because it was a Milva. Also Yoav Ladriel, and therefore he went, Shaul, and he gave Meirav to Adriel. If you want, the etin l'cha Michal, zil aisila meya arles plishtim. Oh, Meirav is too late because you want Mekadesh Milvas, not Mekudeshes, Kedushay Tois. You want my other daughter? Go ahead and kill 100 plishtim. He went and he killed 200. Ozil aisile, amalei milvu puta islecha gaboy. So now said Shaul, there's two things to me. You got the milva, the halva that I owe you, the Oisha Gadol for killing what? Goliath. And now you have the pruta that you gave me, these 200 foreskins of Plishtim, right? Shol Savar, milva pruta, daita milva. When a person is right, Mekadesh, you have Mekadesh milva, daita milva, and Mekadesh milva in Mekudeshes. But David Savar, milva pruta, daita pruta. And therefore she's mukudeshes to him, because taita pruta, das is on the orlos of the plishtim rather on what he was owed. Biba is saying, but the kuli alma milva pruta daita pruta, even Shol held that way. Shol sava lechaziv lemidi, right? There's no pruta. What are you going to do with 100 foreskins or 200 foreskins? But David sava chazi lekalbi v'shunu, you can give it to the dogs and the cats. Okay, the bottom line is, according to this, they were never married to two sisters ever. Meirav was either she died beforehand, or she was what? It was Kedushay Tois. It was Kedushay Tois, and therefore he was never married to two sisters. Who was he married to? He was married to Michal. Michal Ishti, and Meirav wasn't Ishti. Now, Rabbi Yossi held, who asked the Kasha, they were married to two sisters. What does he do with the pasuk that we said, give me Michal, my wife? Mashma, Michal was the wife, and Meirav wasn't. Rabbi Yossi, Haitana es Ishti es Michal, my Dorish Bey. Rabbi Yossi the Tamei. That's Rabbi Yossi going according to his reasoning. The Tanya, Rabbi Yossi Oyedorish Mikrois Muravim. He made a challenge out of the psukim. Ksiv. Okay, this guys is at the end of Shmuel Beis. Very sad. There's a sad scenario where there's a hunger, and they were told it's because Shaul killed out the Gevonim. Right, Shaul the Gevonim, and the Gevonim, they were the people that they fooled Yeshua. They came dressed up as people from a faraway land, and Yeshua swears that he won't kill them. He finds out they will cheat him, and he makes them hold sakas and water schleppers for the Kahanim. And then when Shaul wiped out Novir Kahanim, he wiped out these Gevonim as well. And therefore they wanted revenge. David offered them a king's ransom. They wanted revenge. And they wanted the family of Shaul. So now the Navi is describing the members of Shaul family that were given over to the Gavonim that were killed. It says, Vayikach HaMelech, it says, Eshnei b'nei Ritzva Basaya, the two sons of Ritzva Basaya, Asher Yoldo L'Shaul Esad, right? They were born to, that she gave birth to Shaul, Esad Moini v'es Mephibosheth, Ves Chameshes b'nei Michal, and the 5 children of Michal, all these will be given over to the Gavonim for revenge. Asher Yoldo L'Adriel HaMechulasi. Now, who was married to Adriel, fellas? Meirav. What does it say over here? 5 sons of Michal that were born from Adriel. It's mashma over here that what? That Michal was married to Adriel, but it wasn't. It was Meirav who was married to Adriel. Adriel Nasna, Michal wasn't given over to Adriel. Michal was given over to a person, Palti ben Layosh. We'll discuss this more tomorrow. We're going to make a comparison, the kedushin of Meirav to Adriel to the kedushin of Michal Lepalti. Now, clearly, fellas, when Michal was given over to Palti, she was an Ashes Ish. She was married to David. So we're going to say, just like Michal was an Ashes Ish when was given over to Palti, so too Meirav was an Ashes Ish to David when she was given over to Adriel. And that's where Rabbi Yossi came up with, they were married to the same sister, 2 sisters. Ma kedushay Michal Palti ba'aveira, af kedushay Meirav la'Adriel ba'aveira. That's Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha said that there was kedushay tois and you only married to one. How did you go ahead and reconcile the 5 sons of Michal being given over, of who born to Adriel? Haksiras chameshes be Michal bas Shaul. I were never married. I'm Malach. Rabbi Yeshua v'chi Michal Yolda v'le Meirav Yolda. Meirav Yolda u'Michal Gidla. Michal gave birth to them, and Meirav gave birth to them, and Michal raised them. The Fika Nikra al Shema. But he was never married. The reason why it's called the sons of Michal, this would be very good. If Meirav died early, making a chant out of Pshatim, if Meirav died early, then Michal would raise the kids, right? So she raised the kids. Anyone who's Magdal Yasim in the house, Malav Akosav Kilu Yoldu, it's considered as if what? As if he fathered them. Okay, so that's the mice over here. And Machloikas of Yehuda says you could give over, that he did marry the wives of Shaul. With the whole Gemara over here digressing, didn't marry the wives of Shaul. It's speaking about the daughters of Shaul, and now we get into digression whether the daughters of Shaul was David married to both of them or only one of them. Mashma is married only to, according to Rabbi Yossi, is married to both Meirav and Michal. According to Yeshua ben Korcha, is only married to one of them. He's only married to Michal, and Meirav was never married. Meirav, she was given to Adriel, and that was wasn't kedushin. It was full-fledged kedushin, and that's the story.